You're listening to the Phatcast live from the studio with Colin Reynolds. Good afternoon. How you doing? This is the Phatcast, and I'm your host, Colin Reynolds, today with my special guest, Sam Dowson.
Hey. This is when you cue the applause and everyone, or this is when you cue the sound of everyone leaving the room.
So, Sam.
Yeah.
We've known each other many years now.
Yeah, dude. And it's been good.
It has.
It's like you're breaking up with me.
Right. Well, many different musical projects too.
Yeah.
So, this project, Milk Bath.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what inspired that.
What inspired Milk Bath?
Because it's pretty weird stuff, let's be honest.
Well, I mean, the whole idea behind the project itself wasn't ever to sort of be or do weird music. The whole thing actually started as the Brizzy actually used to do these, they did birthday parties.
Yes.
And they did not like kids' birthday parties, like the Brisbane Hotel birthday, you know?
Yep.
And there was one of them that was like dress up as a superhero or some shit. And I, being as poorly organised as always, just bought a whole bunch of buckets.
Yep.
Spray painted BM onto a big bit of carton box or something like that and went as Bucket Man, right? Now, after the interesting thing, I thought nothing of it. I was like, Bucket Man, this is going to be shit. Of course, Bucket Man's going to be the absolute worst thing to go as. Now, a couple of weeks later, I decided to then start DJing as Bucket Man.
Yes.
Yeah. And obviously, I had no idea what I was doing as a DJ. I was always really into more so the sort of the beat construction stuff, like when it came to producers, like Dilla and like The Alchemist and things like that. But for some reason, I just couldn't quite wrap my head around how to do it. I didn't know what gear to get. I still don't really know what gear to get, but I did definitely know that they were using MPCs.
Yeah.
And I started looking at MPCs, didn't really understand why they were so expensive or how to use them or whatever, but I found an app that was like $2, which is the MPC app. And from there, I just started uploading my own samples into it and then sort of developing or trying to make songs with what I had. It was a really good way for me as a drummer.
1300.
Yeah. It became really memey, and I actually didn't intend that. Initially, it was just I couldn't really. Melodically, I'm pretty dumb.
Okay.
As a drummer, a lot of drummers are very smart when it comes to this.
Okay.
I have no idea about theory. I don't really know anything. I know a little bit. But in terms of actually creating and writing songs, say on a piano or a guitar or anything like this, sure. I learned piano as a kid. Played the clarinet like every other person, but I didn't really stick in there. So it was a really easy way for me to sort of construct and steal melodic ideas from other people and create songs out of them that were mine. I wanted to be a hip hop producer. I wanted to be, like a cool hip hop producer guy, but then I realized that you couldn't really do it just on an app.
Dr. Dowson.
You know what I mean? I wanted to be there. I wanted to be invited to the cool parties for once. But
when you figure out how to do that.
Oh, no, I've been to a lot of cool parties, but they're probably not cool parties for the sake of, going to Milan and doing cocaine. More so just like my friends that can host nice things. Yeah. That to me is a cool party, Playing poker, that's a cool party, whatever. So when it came to the Milk Bath stuff, then it was just really easy for me to sort of do that, start creating songs, and then I just really fell in love with the idea of sort of doing, I don't know what you'd call it, not a beat turnaround. There's some phrase for it that I can't remember. Flip, where like I just started flipping old sort of kids shows that I loved.
Yep.
Like Ship to Shore and Round the Twist, really those sort of like Australiana, like Skippy and shit. And then sort of from there, then Milk Bath was born.
That was a great show.
Skippy.
No. Round the Twist.
Oh,
it was, of course, it was based on the Paul Jennings books. Some great stories in there.
Paul Jennings.
Huh. He wrote this, all of the short story books like Uncanny and
was Paul Jennings the or was it like Gleitzman? Was that the other guy? Am I just
Oh.
making up names now?
I don't know who that is.
Who did like Just Crazy and Just Scared? Was that it?
Maybe
Or, like,
no.
Just
That's
Weird, or-
it sounds perhaps like another author
yeah,
doing
it might have
funny
been-
stories.
Yeah,
So Paul Jennings, all the stories had like some odd, perhaps you could almost say supernatural, but some weird element in it. For example, there was a story called Wonderpants, and it was about magic underpants
Okay.
that you could what is it? Make you run really fast or like this is
they had a power.
yeah, that's right. This
Right.
is the and there was the one where if you God, it's so far back in the old history books now. But like you would make someone
Yeah.
eat too much spaghetti or what was
Yeah,
that? one?
okay. Oh,
The
that's right.
spaghetti
And
one.
then there was the one where, look, there was really weird. Like, wasn't one of the kids like the male? Like, I don't really understand. I thought a kid was pregnant at some point.
Yep.
Maybe not. Maybe this is just completely wrong. But there was a whole. Yeah, I'm with you there. It was kind of like an X-Files for kids.
Yes. One of the
Really?
stories was the kid had to go and find this guy's old bones and bury him.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're teaching us all to be grave robbers.
Right.
And which then brings me on to my love for black metal later in life. I'm assuming it was all from Round the Twist.
No doubt. Well, you see, so Milk Bath, and then there's like
Yeah.
kind of a side step to Raven King, which is
yeah.
a bit more of a serious DJing, still producing all of
Yeah.
your own music.
Mhm.
Less samples, more soundscapes.
Yes, yeah. So the idea of Raven King, well, I suppose with Milk Bath, I suppose to just sort of close. I've been trying to close that or sort of like stop doing it for a minute there because I was using it as a tool to sort of escape a lot of the like anxieties and depression and stuff that I had.
Sure.
And so or have, and I was using Milk Bath as a bit of a character, and then it just became almost negative in the sense that I didn't really understand if what I was doing I really started enjoying or whether or not I was just doing it for the sake of maintaining this character and trying to make every single show as extreme as possible.
Oh, sure.
It definitely gave me that opportunity though to get rid of all that nervous energy that I was sort of holding on to throughout the week.
Yeah.
Within that hour, and whether or not that's standing, like getting Tamara or Georgia Lucy on my shoulders and licking the ceiling of the Briz and doing whatever, but that wasn't ever premeditated. None of this stuff, none of the shows was ever premeditated. And so for a minute, not for a minute now, I'm pretty much wanting to stop it because it was just physically a little bit too demanding. And that was only, I'm the only one to blame for that. And with Raven King, that kind of spawned out of that through my love for, like soundscapes and, classical, or I suppose modern classical guys like Niels Frahm and mixing that with a lot of garage producers and especially everything from hyperdub, like The Bug, who isn't that, it's obviously more dub stuff, but like I love how their soundscapes are produced on the albums. They're just huge, but they're interesting and they're not super busy, but it's so captivating.
I get kind of a sigh kind of vibe from it.
Yeah, and well, and so this stuff with the Raven, sorry, stop hitting this table. With the Raven King stuff, it was more so the idea of I was trying to create music of when I've been happy being lonely for a minute.
Oh,
you know what I
sure.
mean? So like if you're ever on a train for a long time, or when I was traveling solo, for instance, so it was really great. But you're lying if you're not saying you're not going to be lonely for a minute there.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that. I loved going on these 18-hour bus rides, and then I was thinking and taking in all the sounds and recording the sounds of buses and trains going and all this kind of stuff, trying to really get into that idea of like what sort of song would I want to listen to here? What kind of it sounds so pretentious now that I'm fucking talking about it, but it's like, what kind of soundscape best represents that feeling?
Yep.
And that's sort of how that idea was spawned anyway. It didn't necessarily like translate when I've been producing songs now. Like it's obviously going down a little bit more of like a sort of big beat, but I mean like more like ghetto tech kind of style stuff. But then I draw a lot of reference from, stuff like Burial, and that kind of scene, because they're really good at creating those kind of soundscapes. Yeah.
Yep. And then there's God, so many bands. There's Laser Baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So the band stuff. Yeah.
Which obviously you're the drummer, and Laser Baby is a jazz pop kind of act.
Yeah. Once again, Laser Baby. That's one of my Yeah, I mean, I love that band. I've always, I've got me and Jamie Taylor and I have been doing that for a long time now, and I really enjoy it. We both really enjoy it. We've gone, done national tours. We've done releases. We're about to release another EP now, and it is. I think it's steering a little bit more away from sort of the jazzy stuff. It's definitely just groove, but I mean, it's just pretty much six people getting in a room and just creating some shit that's fun for us to play along to that isn't necessarily heavy.
Easy listening.
Yeah.
But it's all distinctively rhythmic.
Yeah. There's a lot of drive. All of Jamie's songwriting, because she writes pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Lyrical content, melody, obviously, and then we all sort of put together a bit of a structure. But even then, she really is like sort of the heart. Well, is the heart of this band.
Yeah.
She is really good once again at constructing themes, and within those themes, it is easy listening, but some of the content of the lyrics are really dark or really happy, or they're always contrasted with the music that we're playing alongside it. But it is always rhythmic. Her guitar playing is always shown through, like the horn lines shown through Zoe singing, and then that sort of stems down to Sharpie and I who kind of built. Yeah, so long-winded way. Yeah, that it is.
Is Zoe still hacking the trumpet these days?
Zoe didn't play trumpet. Zoe is the singer now. Zoe's the singer.
The first time I saw Laser Baby, I swear she was playing trumpet.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Falls 2017.
We've had a lot of iterations of sort of people jumping in and out. We've done, I mean, Jesus, when Jamie and I started this band, it was initially a 3-piece.
Right, wow.
And we stuck at that with a bass player called Carlos, and we stuck at that for a little while. that was pretty weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. We constructed that first album as well as a 3-piece, and then obviously Tess was in there, and it was cool. But look, with the EP coming out and that kind of drive, hopefully it will drive us to get back on their own, obviously, when things open up.
So obviously Zoe's singing now.
Yeah. So the band currently is as strong as it's been.
Great.
And so it's like, you got guys like Jim Verrill and, who plays for everyone. Well, not everyone, but like a lot of big players like Matt Ives and Baba Bruja and Chicha. And then you got Squish, I've been in bands with since I was a kid, like the Lawless Quartet. And obviously he's in Laser Baby, and he's done heaps of DJing stuff in the past. Sharpie, everyone's bass player.
Yep.
And then Jamie, Zoe, and myself.
Yep.
So that's the clique. That's
so you just mentioned another one there. The Lawless Quartet.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, Benny's back in town.
He is. Benny's an anomaly. I mean, he's always been around, but he's never around, if that makes sense. like he's everywhere, and he causes this beautiful storm and disrupts everyone's shit, and it's great.
Well, can we expect anything out of the Lawless Quartet this year?
Probably. Look, realistically, I'm just gonna say no.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, gigs. I'm always trying to push to just get a handful of gigs out, because I just love catching up with everyone.
Sure. Yeah.
And the gigs are really fun. We're still playing the same songs.
It's
we've
one
been
of
playing forever.
One of my favorite bands.
Get
Lawless
out of
Quartet.
here.
Oh, it's so good.
More than
so
Slayer.
Good. Yeah, more than Slayer.
I love Slayer.
Slayer are great, but I don't know any of the guys in Slayer.
Yeah,
personally.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's cool.
As if your favorite band should be someone you don't know. That seems a little bit parasocial.
But it's how 95% of the world works.
I know. Yeah. We're uniquely privileged in Tassie because we're a bit smaller. The whole idea that like we kind of all know each other, all the bands. There's, no doubt in other cities there are kind of cliques and scenes and stuff, but Tassie, we're probably uniquely privileged in terms of the number of different bands that kind of all know each other.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I fully think you're right. Like, you play, we both play. We both play bills together. You know what I mean? Like, you understand, like, not necessarily just from the interviewing perspective, but from a performer yourself.
We've done techno gigs together.
We've done techno gigs
together.
We've
done metal gigs together.
We have done metal gigs together.
Yeah.
We've also worked on stages together.
Yes.
Colin's a very multifaceted guy when it comes to him, his music, I don't know what you call it, career.
Well, thank you.
So all of this stuff, I don't know if that's ever spoken about.
Right. Well, maybe not.
Well, it should be. Maybe we should fucking switch roles for a minute. And talk about this.
your other bands. See, look, so just
Yeah,
before I
yeah.
move on from
Yep.
Lawless,
Yeah.
Lawless, it's almost a thrash metal band,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But you got the brass section there and like some ska elements.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, I think that it kills me because like it's gypsy. It was initially it's gypsy punk. That's
sure,
what it is.
gypsy punk.
That's pretty much the base level. That's the foundation, and then from there we were able to sort of throw in as many ideas because me and Benny were in, and we started Mephistopheles. And that sort of stemmed from the same idea,
Yeah.
you know, like we were listening to bands like Cynic and Spawn of Possession and Mr. Bungle,
Yeah.
Secret Chiefs, who else? That kind of style that we were listening to, and like Benny was such a massive jazz head.
Secret Chiefs. You know they use microtonal tunings. It makes it impossible to
it.
try and figure any of their songs out.
Man, if you bought a gamelan, I don't know how to pronounce that, like such an Australian gamelan.
What was the name of that act?
Yeah,
you were drumming.
Yep,
and some samples.
Mm-hmm.
Gamelan.
Yeah.
And
James Brennan.
Yes,
was in it, and Julius Schwing,
Schwing,
that absolute sexy maniac.
Yep,
he's That's the only reason why I know what a gamelan is.
Right.
Like I was sitting here like I was so like microtonal like the gamelan.
This is like FOMO 2018.
Yeah, 2018, 2019. I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
So the band's called Axon Breeze.
Breeze,
and that's James Brennan's baby.
Yeah,
he completely came up with that idea and he's running with it now. I think he's shooting a film clip for it.
Oh, brilliant!
You know, all that kind of stuff. Really, really continuing along. That was wild. That's
heavy.
Wild.
That's heavy in that music.
Well, it was interesting because it's the first time. I mean, you get players like Yuli, who is just so textural
and just versatile.
Yeah, with everything he does.
Yeah,
and like he can play minimal shit for 45 minutes, and I will never get bored of it. As opposed to
I've seen him do it. Him, and like Damien Kingston.
Yeah.
Has some very similar characteristics in terms of their approach to like instrumental music, because like both of them, that's just for starters, accomplished jazz players.
Totally.
And you could go and get lessons from either of them, and they'll teach you like the super technical shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But then you go there and watch Damien, and he's like invented a new chord. Rang. It's like, Jesus, what the fuck are you guys doing?
Isn't that sick?
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Because to go sort of back to what you were saying about how everyone knows everyone here, it's also pretty cool because it also means that there's stages, well, not as many at the moment, obviously, because the whole industry is getting fucked, but there's not as many, whatever. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
The stage, people were able and are able to use their stages as performance spaces rather than let's show what we've just rehearsed for the last 6 months. I mean, that's totally fine. People do that as well.
Yep.
But when it comes to jazz stuff and more experimental music, there is some world-class shit happening here.
So good.
And I think when people do go out and see it, it's actually wild because it's in these bars like Henry Jones and Pablo's and out on the lawns at Mona, and it's like it's almost now an expectation that you're getting this level of player.
Sure.
And I don't think people are recognizing just how how extreme it is.
Well,
some of the stuff
we're spoiled for good music in Tassie. Good live music.
Totally. And on every genre. Whether it's there's some absolutely amazing electronic guys going around. There's amazing DJs and
right
and spods here now. There's so much to be said about all the guys that are sort of starting to build and do build like Euro racks and circuit bending stuff.
Like
and
Hayato.
Yeah, exactly. So there you got another one. Like Hayato plays with Emily and this duo. I can't believe it's
Emily Shepherd.
Yeah, and they do this amazing duo. Anyway, whatever. It's cool.
Yep.
If you see Hayato spruiking something, just go see it.
Yeah.
He's
a wizard.
To be honest, if you see anyone spruiking anything and there's a live venue doing it, fucking go see it. That's where I'm at the moment.
That's it.
Because there's just I don't know, there's not heaps, but doing all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so when it came to with the quartet, me and Benny pretty much took the writing style that we did for Mepho, which was just trying to show off.
Yep.
But also do like.
Well, one of the things. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but Mephistopheles, just to interject for a moment, one of the things that characterizes them among other metal bands.
Yeah.
Is so few repeats. I mean,
Yeah.
you might repeat a single riff twice.
Yep.
And then we're done with that one. We moved on to a new sound.
Yeah.
And like the music, it's some people might even throw the word progressive at it, but frankly, there's just a lot going on there. Where you basically as soon as you've hit a groove, it's time to hit a different one.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
in any one song, you might have like it might be a 5-minute song. There's 15 riffs in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, the newer stuff, like I mean, when we first started doing it for that first album, that was my brother Benny and myself.
Yep.
And then Chalky obviously was starting to get involved at that point. And now it's so Chalky, Benny, Blower, and myself, and all of us have these. You know, I mean, Chalky's got an extremely varied music taste, and it's amazing. So when we come to writing, or had come to writing earlier for the last album, because we've got an EP coming out too for that.
Yep.
It was definitely not necessarily a thought out thing where we're trying to change a riff every time. It's just thinking about what it flows into and how we get out of that and the kind of ideas that we like to sort of touch on. And it just turns out that after 3.5 minutes, you don't want to come back to something.
Yep.
And I think a lot of that initially was just from that style of, like we're all massive Virgil Donati heads, and we were back then as well.
Sure.
And sort of listening to a lot of
outside of Southern Suns.
Yeah. I mean, Southern Suns was sick too, though. Like that was fucking awesome. Like, and On the Verge stuff was wild. Anything like, I mean, and then you got not necessarily Virgil, but heaps of progressions and sort of song structure-y stuff that Benny used to love listening to was, or sort of to create those. Sorry, I'm just like catching myself on that. Was like Return to Forever, like Chick Corea, Alan Holdsworth,
sure.
You know, and a lot of that kind of style.
Proper jazz.
Yeah. And a lot of those riffs and that kind of idea definitely stemmed from that. And it still does when we do. We haven't, but when we haven't for a while anyway. But when
It's
we do,
like
right?
If Frank Zappa was into death metal,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And then we like to steal the ideas from. Yeah. Anyway, it's. I was about to go on this stupid fucking tangent, but yeah, it is. That's pretty much it. So it's stemming from an extreme. It's pretty much just like extreme music, but written by a bunch of people that just love a bunch of different shit.
Sure.
That's kind of it. That's what we're trying to do, and have been trying to do with that.
Well, For context, so talking about the metal.
Yep.
We've then got a very opposite style of that in Isoclan.
Yeah.
Where strong melodic hooks that you do return to.
Yep.
Sort of classic chug type and heavy beat riffs where you straight away you listen to that, you go, oh, this is black metal. There's no question of, what kind of music is this, right?
Yeah.
It's like textbook black metal.
Yeah.
Same members. Yeah. You Blower and Chalky.
Well, yeah, that's it. And that, I mean, Isoclan was initially called Ice Eater. And that was a duo where it first started was just Chalky and myself.
Yeah.
And then obviously, once again, just like other bands, we've had a whole bunch of different sort of people in it. And now, Blower's been in it for a while as well. So as the trio, it definitely works.
Yep.
Once again, I really love Isoclan because those songs we rehearsed so much when we were, learning it.
Yep.
And Chalky just writes it all and it's like, here's a song.
Yeah.
Like let's play it through. And they're all his ideas, and that's why, and I just accompany it, and so does Blower, and I love playing it. I mean, I don't write it once again because melodically I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'm happy to sit there and like I really want to sort of construct drum ideas around it.
Yep.
And it's exactly that. It's just not like unforgiving black metal, but not in the sense that it's like it's drawing reference from a lot of old school harsh black metal or anything like that. It's just more so, there's a lot of, I feel like Chalky will probably pull me up on this, but there's a lot of like the section sort of influences and a lot of very melodic guitar based riffs.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And some of those, I don't even know what you would call them, but you've got riffs where there's a melody there, and in between the melody, there's a lot of open strings.
Is it dissonant? Is that the word?
Not necessarily, but they can be. They can be. Dissonant just means that you're contrasting two sounds that don't have don't have a close harmonic relationship.
Right.
Okay. So, for example, if you've got a note that the frequency is a particular number of hertz, and then you've got another note, and the particular frequency that's one divides equally into the other one, you'll get a sweet sound.
Yeah.
For example, now octaves, you just double the frequency. Like an A, concert pitch, and you've got an A at 440 hertz.
Yep.
That means at 220 hertz is an A, an octave
Totally.
below that. Yep. So if that's 2 dividing equally, 3 can divide equally, 4 can divide equally, 5 depending on the frequencies, right? Now, dissonant is when you're trying to factor one ratio into the other one. The ratio will be like 220 to 17.
Okay.
They just don't, the numbers don't work well together. Yeah.
Right.
And certain notes will, with complex ratios, they're dissonant or discordant.
Right.
Yeah, those words have similar but not exactly the same meanings. But in this case, a discordant sound is a dissonant note.
Right.
Yep.
And this is where I get confused. And now, welcome to Colin's Theory Chat.
This is something you will. This is something you will understand. Okay, every key
I do get it.
has a scale.
I mean, I do understand the idea of things balancing out and making sense, like in terms of having like a nice sound.
Yep.
And there's certain things not having a nice sound.
Like the three notes in a chord, for example, all sound nice together.
Yeah.
And they'll have a simple harmonic relationship between them. Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of what Chalky does.
There are a lot of dissonant sounds in what Chalky does.
Yeah.
You know, he could be playing there could be circumstances where he's playing a melody and the actual he's using a pedal note. A pedal is where
it's just constantly going and going.
Pretty much, you're playing that one against every note. You'll play that one. So, for example, your bottom A you might be chugging on that and playing some other chords or some notes and staying on that E. And he'll be playing. What he's playing is not in any E key. Could be playing something, for example, in the key of B flat, but using the E as a pedal. And in that case, that's a dissonant sound in there.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
and is it's emblematic of black metal. You know, you'll hear that in black metal.
Yeah. And I mean,
because you want these strong sounds rubbing up against each other. You know,
Well, you want the guitar. For me, if I listen to black metal, I mean, look, I love the vocals. I actually love old school production for black metal. I think it's fucking awesome.
Yep.
But for that, like, all you want to hear is these, evil guitar riffs.
Right.
For me anyway.
Yep.
And that's what I love about it.
Yep.
I love listening to Dark Throne. Like, and even like, one of the most popular songs, whatever, but like Transylvanian Hunger has one of the most unforgiving riffs in it.
Sure.
It's just like it's the same two things or same three things essentially just repeating for minute after minute after minute, but it's so sick, and I think that with Issaclan it drew me in a little bit because like Chalky does some repetition but not a lot of repetition, and a lot of that repetition for me drew me in. When that with that kind of stuff, and especially with
there's nothing wrong with repetition.
In point of fact it isn't.
In point of fact, if music had no repetition, it wouldn't actually be music. It would be something else.
Would it just be? Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that because, I mean, it.
How can you think of a song that has no repetition?
If you have something that's like a canon, going over and over and over and over again, yeah, sure. But then again, if you get like,
this isn't just about melody. Because think of drum beats.
Yeah,
like or I'm thinking, even if you've got one bar in which you've just gone, you've got repetition already.
I mean, if you're thinking, what about guys like John Cage?
I'm not particularly familiar with this.
Okay,
music.
So John Cage is a classical guy, and he does like. What are they called? Graphical scores.
Okay.
And a graphical score is when you got a bunch of musos in a room and they're just like, they're handed this sheet of music and it's represented in shapes.
Okay.
And graphs and things like that, but there's no notation. There's nothing like that. So essentially the whole orchestra or the 5-piece or the one person or whatever it is just interpreting what they feel a certain shape means.
Okay, yep.
You know what I mean? And so in that kind of context, I don't feel like there is as much repetition when it comes to creating something that's contemporary. But definitely, look, for popular music and definitely for other stuff, like people You got me on that drum thing though. I'm not just sitting here to argue. I'm actually thinking like, fuck, do I know anyone that doesn't necessarily rely on repetition to create a good song?
Well, you'd have to not have a beat, for example,
Yeah.
to not have any repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's but then again, some of the
There's an
best music I've heard is just the one repeating line for 10 minutes.
Absolutely.
You
How
know?
about Fatboy Slim, Praise You?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
See, that's great. That's awesome.
3 chords forever.
Yeah.
And it sounds fucking amazing.
Yeah. Like honestly. And you've got some of the best post rock that is just the same note almost for 10 minutes long.
Yep.
And that same sort of is it William Basinski? I can't even remember his name. Once again, another classical guy. But anyway, he just runs off this same consistent, like sad sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, a chord structure or something.
Yep.
It goes for like 8 minutes over and over and over again, but you really get sucked into it. And it's like watching, those YouTube videos where people are like, oh, watch this guy
10
falling
hours,
downstairs for 10 hours.
10 hours version.
And then you end up fucking still watching it for 10 minutes. You're like, oh, what have I been doing?
Yep.
It's the same thing with this.
Yep.
I've been watching it and I'm like, listening to it, and I'm just like, wow, I listened to that for 8 minutes. Like,
See, it's not that repetition
cool.
is bad or that it's good.
Yeah.
It's just a thing that occurs.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
In point of fact, you could just collect anyone with a loop pedal would have discovered this if they didn't know it before.
Yeah.
You could have a loop filled with any amount of different kinds of sounds, whether there's any relationship between them or not.
Yeah.
And it could sound like a total complete mess by the 10th loop, by the 20th loop, by the 100th loop.
Yeah.
It sounds like music.
I get you.
Right.
Yeah,
Repetition legitimizes.
Yeah.
And you can take any simple idea.
I like that. That should be used outside of music. You know what I mean?
You know where it's obviously used?
Macca's.
In political fucking
politics.
doublespeak.
I was just thinking people that sell the same shit over and over and over again.
Totally.
It legitimizes.
I was just thinking about stuff like when they repeated, like John Howard with his non-core promises, or
Yeah.
they'd say the same thing over and over and over and over and again, and eventually people just accept.
Yeah.
They might not like it, but they accept it at some point.
Yeah. Of it being legitimate or legitimately fucking dumb. You know what I mean? It's still.
I'm sure ScoMo's been saying some equally fucking dumb shit. Jesus.
Yeah.
That motherfucker.
I know. I mean, whatever. Politics is politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm happy. Yeah.
So just a bit of you've started a new position.
Yeah. I've done a couple of things recently. So once again, what am I doing? Jesus. I'm still working within bands a lot. I'm still drumming for a lot, like obviously for Laser Baby. I'm still working on the Raven King stuff.
And you do the session stuff as well.
And session stuff too. Yeah. And so, working on a lot of the original bands that I'm in at Ignis Gehenna, which is another black metal band that I'm in with Adam and Pope and Dave from, those guys have been in bands, really, really amazing black metal bands. Anyway, that's really cool. In the lockdown period, I also decided, sort of within the last 2 years, I've been thinking about it for a while, but then just pulled the plug and decided to start a record label.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing too, and that launches in 3 weeks now.
Oh, wow.
2 weeks. Yeah. So
that means by the time we're live, it will have launched.
Yeah. Holy shit.
We're talking. We're now speaking is from the future.
Yeah. And damn, if that worked, I'd be like, hey, check out all these millions of dollars, huh?
Yeah.
I've become a label guy now. You just see me put on these like ivory shades. Oh, fuck me. Anyway, I wanted to start this, and the record label thing has been a lot of work. And I've got Michael Theodore on board, who's also working within the label as well. So we're both pushing this idea to just do Tassie-based vinyl, heavy-duty vinyl, short-run stuff. Because people do it, and people do it right. And I think that vinyl has always sounded, it's always what people come back to. It's always what I've come back to.
Yep.
It's how I used to listen to music. I didn't go out and buy vinyl when I was 1, but Dad used to listen, put on records and stuff like that when I was a kid. And I once again have a lot of respect for people that are doing it down here, like Julian Tickle. You know, like he's been running the Rough Skies stuff for ages, and producing vinyl and small tapes and 7s and that kind of style of stuff. I've always been attracted to. I think it's awesome. And now more and more people are getting involved in it. And I thought, what a cool thing, like, to just like run a label and have fun with it and see how it goes. And the first release is actually John E, which is really cool. Funnily enough, coming back to the Milk Bale stuff with wanting to get an MPC, John E has an MPC 2500, and it's amazing.
Yep.
And he is really, really, really good when it comes to constructing songs and soundscapes and everything. And so he's the first pressing.
Brilliant.
Which is actually going to be crazy. We've been sitting on the vinyls for a while now, and it sounds amazing. Sounds really, really, really good. So I'm really stoked with it. I just hope that other people can get around it and grab one before they're sold out.
Might give me a reason to buy a bloody phonogram.
Yeah,
I don't have it. I literally don't actually have vinyl turntable.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, the tip shop isn't that far.
No, that's right.
They're always around.
Yeah.
But I'd love once again. There's 150. It's sort of the way it works is we're just going to be doing 150 of every band that we're releasing, and sort of no represses unless the band wants to. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to take on that role.
Creating collectibles.
Yeah, creating collectibles, but also not creating a gross sort of copyright relationship when it comes to the label owning everything.
Oh, yep.
That's something I really wanted to be pretty forward with in sort of talking to artists or who we're going to use or whoever me and Theo sort of decide is going to be cool to sort of do this with is the fact that we're not actually going to own your music for an extended period of time. We're not going to be selling it to ads. We only own. The only thing we do own about it is the physical vinyl master of that recording.
Yep.
Yeah. So it can, if it gets remastered, for CD, whatever, then it's the artist, whatever. It's but for that vinyl release, just for those 150, that's all we own. And then the relationship, as soon as they're sold out, relationship's done. That's it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I'm hoping that this will get people more interested in this kind of medium, get people back into the small run stuff. You know what I mean? Like have it all produced locally. Yeah.
But you might find there'll be a bit of a demand for this. There's a lot of bands in Tassie.
Yeah, I know, and but in all honesty, like I hope there is, because more people. I think there's a lot you can do here, and a lot of people definitely use Tasmania. Like they talk about the community as it being a community, and it's really good, and it is really good. And the arts community is great, and the music community is fucking amazing, and all that kind of stuff is awesome. But a lot of people use Tassie as a springboard to move to anywhere else. And then they come back and it's always that talk about how good Tassie was as a community. It's like, but cool, we're still here, and I'm still here. Everyone's still here working, doing what they do, and they've been doing it, really, really well for a long time, regardless of how sort of fucking hard it is to get people down and to sort of arrange things at the moment. But because of that, and because of that community, people are very interested in what everyone's doing. Not necessarily from like a stealing ideas perspective, but more so from the concept of going, fuck, how can I help?
Yep.
How do I get involved, or how can I support? And that is something that I don't feel like is going to be very easy to find at the moment.
Oh, and that concept of a rising tide floats all ships.
Yeah, totally.
Tasmania is becoming like a zenith for live music. There's some fantastic bands coming out of Tasmania. Yeah, have been for some time. Obviously.
Totally. Yeah.
We've got a richer music culture here than as rich a culture as we've ever had.
Yeah.
There's so many up and comers right now.
And it's that's what I find really weird, actually, to be honest, is how this is honestly, this is like one of the first times where I've noticed that a lot of the bands that are playing are essentially like on the cusp. Like, as you call up and comers.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, I mean, there's so many bands that are doing gig in, gig out and having fun.
Who you'd expect to be within 5 minutes of hitting big time, kind of.
Yeah. But every, like, literally the majority of bands here are there. It just it just depends on what's considered in their world a big time.
Sure.
You know what I mean? For me, it's not being played on Triple J. That isn't. Like, it's not something that I'm into. For me, it's the concept of being able to continue to tour and play shows and do what you love doing live and getting a crowd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just having that. Like, and so I think for when
packing up venues is, which I hate that fucking COVID subject, but that's compromised currently.
Yeah.
But that's like generally a pretty good yardstick of how's a band doing? Can they pack a venue?
Yeah.
And most recent bullshit aside, a lot of Tassie bands can and do regularly pack venues.
Oh, for sure. And, not that I was going to joke about it, but, I am. When it comes to the COVID stuff, I was about to say, fuck, it's the easiest time to pack a venue now than ever, Because restrictions, like, holy shit, 20 people. It's like, man, that's pretty sweet feeling.
Yeah.
That's good. But I think
1.5 meter distance.
Yeah, exactly. And luckily, we're still able to do that without getting shut down.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
there's certain venues that are still pushing that. Good on them. You know, because we can
Absolutely.
do things safely. We can still manage this properly, and we can get bands, stages, and crowds going to gigs. You know, and that's really important to maintain that. Otherwise, you know, like I really hate, like I streamed, obviously. I do DJ streaming and stuff like that just for my own, you know, because I just hate myself so much. No, it's because I stream at home when I'm DJing. It was initially because I realized I was like, fuck, okay, I've got to either start taking this seriously in terms of wanting to do gigs with it, or I'm just going to be a bedroom DJ, which I was fine with. But I had all this drum and bass vinyl that I collected.
Yep.
And so the only reason why initially I started streaming, one was connected with mates that I hadn't seen in a while, over Facebook and stuff like that, so that we, you know, like, you know, especially people in Victoria and things that weren't able, you know, they weren't able to go anywhere. We were lucky enough that we still had stuff going on, and then we got locked down, and then we were sort of still being able to be creative. It was that, but the main point was actually so I could record it and check back on my sets and see and hear what I was doing and how I was fucking up. And then the next time I'd stream, I try to do better and do better and better and better and better, and better. But I hate streaming concerts. It's not the world I want to live in.
No.
It's what was happening. Obviously, it worked. Obviously, it got people out of a slump, and you know that's fucking awesome.
Yep.
Because it's hell right now for mental health.
Yeah.
You know, especially amongst creatives, it's completely like it's so fucking.
And we're all mentally unhealthy, us creatives,
man,
aren't we?
But even more so that, you know, there's just been such limited support and everyone. I mean, I can't even imagine what it is like or had been like in New South Wales or Victoria or realistically anywhere else. I mean, but Tassie's, you know, like that's not saying that people don't have it rough here either. You know, like it's been fucking hard for a lot of people. And when I was talking about success, it's not necessarily that I feel like getting on or play it on Triple J is a bad thing or anything like that.
No,
either.
it's just not your measure.
It's not what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like the pool is very large, you know, and I feel like it's quite easy to get sort of swept up within that, get infatuated with it, which I have done in the past.
Sure.
And then not really get the payoff that I wanted.
Yep.
And then that not constant, but that disappointment was just, you know, I just decided whatever, like, and community radio stations fucking rule. So, you know, supporting those is really important too, I think. What was I talking about this? We were going somewhere. I just got on a full drive about it. What was it? Stages, gigs. Oh yeah, the label. Anyway, so the label launches in whatever, like in a little bit of time. That's gonna be fucking sick, I hope. And then I just got this new booking position locally.
Yes.
Which is really cool too. Because it's always I've done a lot of booking freelancing, and worked amongst a lot of venues down here to do what I want to do, and they're really good with that. Guys like, you know, Gibbo and Casey, and when, you know, like Chalky and Jackie from when the Repub was working, working well with that, and sort of prioritizing a lot of local music. Well, those guys were just curating amazing lineups, to be honest. And same as, you know, like there's a lot of stuff at Alton now, whatever. But you know, I can keep name dropping venues, but when it comes to being in this position now to book, I'm seeing what it is like from an organizational perspective, as opposed to just freelancing it and running off your own back here, I suppose. You know, there's someone actually help with marketing. There's someone actually help, you know, with stage managing, all of this kind of stuff. And it's really, I don't know, for me, it's really exciting. You know, like I'm into it. And I want to do as much as I can for Tassie original music. Even though
we're speaking from the future now, and this has already happened.
Yeah.
I'm playing there.
You are?
I am.
Feb 11.
Oh, I did.
Feb 11, babe.
I did.
Yeah, how was it? It was great, wasn't it?
It was a fucking fantastic gig. Sold out gig.
Table service. Sold out.
That's it. That was it. It was a huge night.
Yeah.
A huge night.
It was awesome. I can't believe you did a 4.5 hour guitar solo. It was fucking wild.
It was because the president of Yugoslavia specifically requested it.
Yeah. I mean, I did see him hanging around, but no, that show was great. It's going to be, I mean, the next one on February 11, 2023. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to being able to, I suppose. I mean, these spaces have always existed,
yes, you
know, and they've always had management, you know, like, I mean, obviously
just underutilized.
Yeah, underutilized throughout time, and then sort of, I suppose, trying to figure out now where, well, just getting everyone's trust back into live music again, And hopefully, when this COVID stuff, if it spikes or whatever is happening here, I just hope that people continue to support live music. Don't feel pressured, you know what I mean? Because the hardest thing is now, obviously, the pressure that comes alongside wanting to go to a gig or play a gig, because people don't want to get sick. They don't want to pass on anything.
Right.
They also don't want to feel like they're being a burden because they're not going to certain shows.
Yep.
It's a really sort of hard area to navigate at the moment.
Hopefully we'll find our way out of that shortly.
Yeah. And I want to I do want to represent this venue and make this venue a space where people can freely perform. Punters can be comfortable. Everyone can be comfortable.
So just to clarify for the audience, you're the music program coordinator of the Salamanca Arts Centre.
Well, primarily, I'd say Founders Room.
Yes,
Founders Room is king for that kind of style of stuff.
Yep.
For that music, obviously, there's stuff that is programmed. There's theatre works and all that kind of stuff with a whole team of people.
Yep.
My baby is getting the Founders Room up and kicking again.
Yep.
Because that was the first place I did a gig.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was called The Venue.
The Venue.
Yeah. It was Mepho's first gig outside of a rock challenge.
Crazy.
And I was like fucking 14, Ben was 15 or something. I don't know, I've probably got the times wrong. But it was definitely in high school. But that was The Venue.
Did he have the same guitar then?
Oh, the green Pacifica or whatever. Yeah, he's had this blue or green, I don't know, turquoise. I've never known how to say that word. Turquoise.
Turquoise, I think.
Turquoise
or aqua.
Aqua. Well, he was on this aqua. He's had this aquoise guitar for fucking years. I think it was the same one. Actually, the Pacifica, which is a beast.
It's a fantastic guitar.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's like 15 years old. You know what I mean? Or from when he had it. So, but the Founders Room is the main thing that I'm primarily trying to push down here, and hopefully create a bit more of a vibe for people to come to Salamanca that don't want to go to certain other venues that don't do that.
So how do bands get in contact with you to organise gigs there? How does someone reach you?
They can literally go through the Salamanca Arts Centre website and find my music email. Or
and what's that? Salamanca Arts Centre dot?
Oh, it's like music at sac.org.au. SAC.
Music at SAC.
Music at SAC. Music at SAC, baby. Or alternatively, get me on Facey.
Yeah.
Or through a social or something like that. Sam Dowson, everyone. It sounds like I was introducing myself as the third person. Sam Dowson, everyone.
Sam Dowson, everyone.
Yeah, no, but to hit me up directly or something. Because that'd be cool. I want people to hit me up
for sure.
And not only for this as well. It's like, there's still a lot of gigs happening and there's still a lot of stuff that I want to work on.
Yep.
And people are doing amazing shit. Like, there's so many people doing freelancing stuff, and so many people putting on independent gigs and independent festivals, because it's just the world we're living in at the moment. And I think it's fucking awesome,
Like Gibbo with his sidestep out to
Pelham. Oh yeah, Gibbo's festivals and gigs are absolutely fucking wild.
Yep.
Like what a cool thing that he's doing.
Yep.
Like it's every show is Brizzy in the bush.
Yeah.
And it's and it's wild, and he's doing such an amazing thing. Like, and there's, like I was talking about Jamie before with Laser Baby, all the Street Vibe shows and stuff that she's running and trying to build up. And oh my God, like you got the Chase City guys running Great Escape Festival.
Tariq.
Tarek, yeah. Tarek and those guys, are doing that. And then you've got other people running, Lousy Creative, it's graphic design, and that's like Olivia and Hassler and Andrew Hassler. There's so many people that are doing really, really cool shit. I keep blanking because there's so much going on in my head about the people that are doing stuff and what they're doing, and I just completely flaked for a minute. It'll come back to me. I know it will. Anyway, I'll talk about it in my music performance or something. I don't know.
Well, look, that's actually about as much time as we have today.
Awesome. Not awesome. I want to keep talking.
Yeah, we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
Yes. But thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, man. Are you kidding me? This is my first podcast.
Oh, brilliant.
This is my first filmed podcast.
I have to get you back.
Man, thanks for everything, and I'm sorry for talking about myself.
Not at all. Sam Dowson, everyone. Thank you, and we'll be back next week.
Cool.